This is Colin O'Keefe here for LXBN TV. Every year, Africa loses $50 billion on account of what are called illicit financial flows, many of which constitute fraudulent activities. Joining me from Washington, D.C. to discuss the report that revealed these findings is attorney Stephanie Keene. She's with Covington Burling and author on the firm's blog, Cov Africa. Stephanie, first, as you wrote, a recent report again revealed that Africa loses, on average, $50 billion every year to these illicit financial flows, or really, what can sometimes be, again, fraudulent practices. With this staggering number, it must be asked, just how is all of this happening?
Thanks, Colin. So as you noted, the AU-UN report did identify a staggering volume of IFF, or illicit financial flows, out of Africa. And the report defines IFFs as money that is illegally earned, transferred, or utilized. They can essentially be broken down into three categories. Commercial IFFs consist of illegal tax and trade-related practices, as well as activities like aggressive tax avoidance that may be considered permissible under the tax regulations of certain African countries. Other examples of commercial IFFs include tax evasion, abusive transfer pricing activities, and trade misinvoicing. Criminal forms of IFFs are more straightforward. These include illicit financial activities related to the drug trade, illegal arms dealing, smuggling of contraband, and so on and so forth. Those crimes are necessarily secretive, and so are the financial dealings toward them. The last category is bribery and theft by corrupt government officials. Now, corruption is certainly an underlying facilitator of all forms of IFF, but it's also a direct cause. In many cases, African officials have corruptly diverted state funds for their own personal gain. And as you noted, the overall cost of IFFs in Africa is devastating. The AU-UN report estimates that Africa lost approximately $1 trillion in the last 50 years to illicit financial flows. And that's roughly equivalent to the amount of development assistance that Africa received during the same time period.
I see. And then, of course, with that staggering figure, again, $50 billion every year that Africa loses on account of these illicit financial flows, something needs to be done here because, this is the type of thing that's going to, prevent Africa from growing in the way that it can. So this is something that needs to be fixed. But, will it? Is this something that can be fixed? And is there a path forward from here?
There certainly is a path forward. The AU-UN report is the first African initiative of its kind. It's a step in the right direction, and it's a strong indicator that African governments are prioritizing the eradication of illicit financial flows. In recent years, many African countries have worked to establish and enhance their anti-corruption units and financial oversight mechanisms. Similar improvements have been made in terms of the passing and refinement of legislation related to illicit financial flows. So the situation is improving, although many African countries' capacity to address IFFs is still relatively weak. But ultimately, IFFs are a global problem, and they're going to require a global solution. International bodies such as the World Bank, African Development Bank, G8 and G20 countries, OECD, and others all possess significant capacity and expertise to assist Africa in eradicating IFFs. And some assistance is already being provided, but now that African states are making IFFs a priority themselves, more assistance from the international community is likely to follow.
Absolutely. The first step, of course, is at least making these figures and these facts known. So it's great that this report is getting out there. So once these numbers are hard to ignore. So again, that first step is crucial. Once again, that was Stephanie Keene of Covington Burling. For more of her insight on this topic, be sure to visit covafrica.com. Thank you for joining me today, Stephanie.
Thanks, Colin.